Hi, West Michigan, Tom Anderson here. And we're at a place that I know nothing about today, so I'm going to ask a lot of dumb questions and we're going to get great answers. And I'm here today with Jackie Fisher, and we are at, because I always have to read my cheat cards, West Michigan Therapy Incorporated. Did I get that right, Jackie?
You did.
See,
so.
Your card did well. And you are the Special Projects Coordinator.
I am.
But first I have to ask you, what is West Michigan Therapy Incorporated?
Okay. West Michigan Therapy is an agency that's been around in two forms since 1983. There was a predecessor organization, the Alcohol Information Center, that was established. I understand it was in the Midtown building for a couple of years, and we disseminated information at that time about alcohol and the effects of alcohol, and then did some treatment for people who were struggling with alcohol abuse. And then within about 2 years, the agency was struggling, and Fred Boyd and Dr. Helen Boyd, a couple who were here in Muskegon, donated a substantial amount of money, and the organization was reorganized and incorporated as West Michigan Therapy in 1985. So we've been around 25 years, and currently our main office, our headquarters, is at 130 East Apple Avenue, and at that facility we offer outpatient treatment services for people who suffer from either alcohol or any substance abuse and need some counseling help. And that's all done on an outpatient basis. And we have some groups that exist as well that, if we have time later, I'd be happy to tell you more about the individual groups that we have for different specific areas of service. And then we have a facility that started about 10 years ago in Muskegon Heights. What we were finding is that there were a lot of homeless women. Many of them had become homeless as a result of substance abuse, but not all of them. Some of them might have been through a divorce, and they wound up didn't have a place to live, didn't have job skills, etc., and wound up homeless. And so we established that facility at 2333 Jarman in Muskegon Heights, and we have currently 14 beds for women, and it's a 24/7 facility. So women are there and they stay with us typically 2 to 4 months. Our goal is to help them with whatever areas of life they're struggling with. So first of all, if they have been on substances, the first thing is they've got to stop. They don't even come in, they're done with that. And then we have a lot of individual and group counseling sessions to help them. We work with them. A lot of times they've lost contact with their families, especially if they have been using substances, so they've lost their kids. And so one of the things we strive to do is help to reunify the family. If they have low job skills or no job skills, we get them connected with resources for that so that they can then get a job. If they're unable to work for whatever reason, we help them to apply for disability so that they have...
Stop you a minute. You are overwhelming me with everything that this organization does.
Well, and we're helping people to restore their lives, to get stability.
This costs money. How did you started 25 years ago? I mean,
well, that endowment fund from the Boyds was the first thing that started, and then we started with contracts with Department of Corrections for people coming out of jail.
Okay, so you had support, outside support.
Yep. So we have some contracts with organizations. We have today contracts with MSHDA, the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, and we get funding from HUD, the federal office, for housing programs. And with those dollars, we've been able to expand these additional services. So we get some funds for some of the substance abuse treatment that we provide through an organization called the LLC. It's the Lakeshore, a Lakeshore license, or not licensing, but a cooperative body, and they have funds that cover some of our clients, but primarily people self-pay. They pay for the services they need for counseling.
But this sounds like just tremendous heavy cost for the amount of work you do.
Yeah.
You do have, basically you're providing the work and the ability and the places to work with these people, whereas another organization only can provide some of the funding to help you do that then. But you're creating something that they have a need to have out in our community.
Right. Yeah, we're trying to help people to get back on their feet. We can't, we did have funding, federal funding to help with actually paying rent for people, and that money is unfortunately going away. There was some stimulus money that came from the Community Reinvestment Act last year, and that money is no longer available. So program will be ending. And we've had some other programs that we've had in place, and we're still waiting to see what funding is going to come from both the state and federal sources. You know, there's been a lot on hold in our own state for the last couple of years with our own budget not having been resolved. Absolutely. Yeah. So we're still waiting to see where we're going to fit into whatever the new budget is for the state of Michigan, and then we still don't know what monies might be coming in when at the federal level. There is, for example, some money that we get for the to feed the women who stay at our facility. It's not a shelter. We don't call it a shelter because this is a temporary transitional housing for them until we can get them into their own permanent housing. And so we have to provide meals 3 times a day plus snacks. That's a requirement by law if they're staying in a facility. We get some money for that through United Way. Indirectly, it's federal money, and there's a committee of United Way called the Emergency Needs Committee, and people in that group vote on which agencies are going to receive how much funding each year.
Do the participants also help in cost? I mean,
the participants,
let's face it, if they were in alcohol or substance abuse, that both of them cost money. So they must have a source of money, but it might be that be cut off and they change their lifestyle too, because it may have been not gained properly.
They don't at this time. Most of them have no money, so where they have gotten money for those habits,
that's what I was looking at.
That's an individual thing. Don't know.
When you hear in some of these drug conditions that these people have, how much it costs a day, and they have no money, you wonder.
Yeah. So, no, at this point, no. We support that entirely.
Okay, and so basically, it takes them away from trespassing in other people's lives, because some of this money may have been through robbery, burglary, theft, or whatever.
Possibly.
So you're taking a problem off the streets too, in more ways than one.
Yeah. And what we're doing is then, these are people who've reached the end of their own line. They don't want to live that way anymore, and when they come to us, they know it's going to be hard work to change their life, and they do it. Now, does everybody succeed? No, but we have a really high rate of success.
Now, you're talking this housing. This is basically for women. Do you also service men, though? Do you not?
Not in the housing not in that housing program. In our general housing programs through our housing navigation center, what we call that.
Okay.
That's all like outpatient, so to speak, and we provide. That's where we were giving money for rental, although those dollars are gone right now. And we provide a variety of workshops. Housing stability workshops every Friday at 2:30 at the TLC office at 2333 Jarman, and that's for anybody who is either homeless or in jeopardy of becoming homeless, because there are a lot of people, especially with the economy and foreclosure rate being what it is the last few years, we have a lot of people who sometimes have waited too long and they're going to lose their house, and now what do? So
they're scared. They don't know what to do. They try to hide from it instead of saying, I'm doing bad. So,
absolutely. They don't want to deal with the truth.
How do these people find you?
We're here. And
I mean, like I said, I'm not familiar with the organization or what it does. Of course, I don't have a need for it, but those who usually have a need have less source to find things and find out where things are for them.
Well, they usually wind up at some agency, and there are a number of other agencies in town that provide similar services but not the same services. I mean, there are other agencies doing housing programs, and so they may refer people to us, or it might be through Department of Human Services or Community Mental Health, United Way. There might be an agency that provides broader services rather than just the targeted housing services. So we get a lot of referrals from other agencies, and we work with many other agencies in collaborative committees that are struggling to try to solve these problems, because there's so many in the community right now.
Well, we're going to take a break right now, but we're going to come back because I've got a whole lot more to learn.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
West Michigan, we'll be back.